Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inside High Tech with Serrano Partners. My name is Morris Levy, and I'm a partner at Serrano. And we are fortunate to be here with Yehiel Attias today. Sorry about that. I asked you how to pronounce it. I still butchered it. And Yehiel is the CEO and founder of Hexa. And we're going to learn a little bit about Hexa. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, a very exciting topic, all hearing about 24/7 today, the metaverse. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Hexa for the listeners who may not be familiar, and then we'll talk about where it's going, where you've been, and all the stuff in between.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So Hexa. So I've been building Hexa for the past 6 years with my co-founders. And we've been working with thought leaders like Doug McMillan, Walmart CEO, top executive from H&M, Target, Shopify, Alibaba, JD, Logitech, and anyone in between, to completely change in the way they visualize and communicate their products using synthetic data. So the core capability of Hexa is how to convert a very partial data set, typically a visual data set like a single image, into a high fidelity 3D model. So today, the only machine that can do that is the human brain. And that's exactly what Hexa is mimicking.
And how do you do that really quick?
Wow. So it's a hybrid approach. On one side, we have the world's largest retailers and brands that are uploading, a massive amount of data into our system. On the other side, we have a community of over 30,000 3D engineers that helps us train our neural networks. So the process can be anywhere between a fully automated flow to a fully manual flow, depending on a few data points where we pre-process that specific request.
Fantastic. So 6 years ago, when you started this, the metaverse was probably only existed in the gaming world, or not even yet, or just starting to happen. So how does Hexa look at that, and how does Hexa fit into that, and what excites you about that?
Yeah, so 6 years ago, there was literally nothing. It was near impossible to render 3D objects on a browser properly. WebGL was still just forming, which is the infrastructure on which you render 3D scenes or 3D environments on top of browsers. It was very, very hard. But even then, it created a lot of value. So we're three ad tech founders, and we're obsessed with value, how it's generated online, and how it moves between the different entities across the value chain. So that's basically how we survived the VR hype, the AR hype, and now we're at a place where we're at a metaverse now. We don't know if it's a hype or no. It has very different use cases. It grew way faster than any other wave that we've experienced. So it's definitely an interesting point in time to work on these three projects, to be an enabler, to be the infrastructure that allows you to inject 3D objects into those type of environments.
Okay, so you started Hexa, and your goal was to help small businesses turn their flat images into 3D assets that can be used across multiple chains of whatever form they want to use it on.
Yeah.
And now in comes the metaverse. And how do you see Hexa helping small businesses or large businesses adapting to the new world? And what excites you about that? Because I know for me, and I know a lot of people, they hear a lot about the metaverse, and it's difficult to wrap your head around. And then there comes there's another side of it, that people want to remain relevant, and they want their businesses to remain relevant, and they feel that unlike gaming, where you decide if you want to play a game or not, the metaverse it may become the reality. And we all may be forced to or want to participate and keep ourselves and our businesses relevant. So how does Hexa fit into that?
Yeah. So first of all, we help you build your, let's say, online strategy or 3D commerce strategy. So if you're a business, one of the biggest pains that our customers, and we're working with companies like Amazon and Macy's and Logitech and Unity, and one of the main issues that we're seeing is that companies typically don't have in place a proper 3D reconstruction workflow. So if what two of the major pains these days for our type of customers is one, I'm losing market share and I'm losing sales. I'm losing sales because people are fed up with 2D images on the product pages. So I need a more immersive experience. And I'm losing market share because my customer base is starting to spend more and more time inside 3D environments where 2D images just doesn't work. So building a digital twin strategy is becoming a necessity. It's not a nice to have anymore. So that's one. And on the other side, on the flip side, it reduces costs significantly. So if you have that digital twin, you don't need to do real life polluted photo shoots. You can synthesize images or videos out of those 3D assets. You can virtually try on or virtually dress avatars to replace models, real life models. So you can do a lot of things with those 3D assets, and that's actually what Hexa excels at, right? How do you extract the value that is curated inside those 3D models?
So now is it a 2D flat image that you convert into a 3D asset that now you could put into the metaverse? So now it's a
Exactly.
three-step process?
Yeah. So for a customer, it's like it's transparent. They don't really engage us with any of the process. All we need is a single image to start the reconstruction process. So we can either ingest 3D content that you already have, or we can reconstruct whatever visual data that you want to provide us. So you can work with both, and the main purpose here, if you want to extract value out of those assets, is repurposing. So you mentioned metaverse, but metaverse is not a single place, right? You have many metaverses now: Sandbox and Decentraland and Roblox, and even Epic Games. Games are a type of metaverses. The only difference is that inside games, that's how we used to call metaverses. The main point is playing, and a metaverse purpose is let's say wider, right? You don't just go and play. So you socialize, you know you do commerce. It's way more broad. The intentions of those spaces or endpoints are much broader than what we've seen before.
Very interesting. But I'm reading a lot about it, and it's still hard to wrap my head around. We're living in exciting times, and we're here with you today because everyone wants to know how to stay relevant, and how to not only stay relevant for themselves, but how to keep their business relevant. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, and not only see how you see Hexa being able to help with that, but just in general. Uh, what kind of advice do you have to businesses and to people alike?
Yeah. So first of all, make sure that these type of technologies applies to you. They don't necessarily do. There is very, very specific unit economics that you have to comply to in order for these type of technologies to be relevant for you. Otherwise, there's no way you can return your investment. So if you're too small, then you won't be able to create digital twins, right? There's no way we can get enough traffic eyeballs on those digital products to return the investment, right? So if every product can create up to 10% uplift in sales, and you just have like I don't know 100 shoppers per product that visits your website, there's no logic to go and invest in additional environments because you won't be able to get the traffic, right? So the same rules that applies on an e-commerce applies on a metaverse, and your ability to, one, digitize your inventory,
Very
and
important.
two, yeah, and two, go into and invest into building your let's say digital place inside the new digital environments that your shoppers are spending time at.
Got it. Let's talk about timing. Like, is it really moving as fast as we think, or what do you see in the next,
Uh,
year, 2 years, 5 years? What does that look like to you, being sort of an expert in the field?
that's tricky, right? So you see a lot of VC money going into those spaces. You see a lot of private equity as well, right? So if we correlate, so typically a metaverse will be correlated with NFTs and all of those type of monetizations. So you're seeing a lot of money being, replacing hands there inside those environments and across the industry. Um, but I think that we still have a lot more to figure out before we can determine if this is a hype or this is something that will stay. Um, for the for the old people in the crowd, it's the same exact it's the same exact feeling like the AR hype, where we thought everything is going to explode, people are going to wear glasses, and then everything. It's like it was like a couple of years ago,
Right.
right? VR, same thing. Now you see a VR, you say, yeah, I don't want to be inside that environment, being fully immersed. So here comes something in between, right? So it connects to real life. It can be more immersive or less immersive. You can use it in all devices. So it's kind of a mix, but I think there's a lot more to discover before anyone can determine what's the future. What I would suggest is that because those digital twins can create value with current methods, right? So a flat 2D e-commerce, you just enrich it with more images or videos or 3D assets or AR assets, right? You can start investing and exploring those spaces that are safer. If you have done that right and you've prepared your content so you can repurpose it, then when the opportunity presents itself, you can take the same asset and put it inside any metaverse. Obviously, just make sure that you have experts to help you. It's not that easy to accomplish.
Yes, I think that, being able to ask for help and being open and willing to learn is something that's, crucial, especially for the older crowd, because people do want to stay relevant and want to be involved. Um, so I happen to be in Israel. I haven't been able to get here for the last 2 years
Yeah,
because of,
welcome.
world circumstances. It's great to be here. I'm in Tel Aviv, and I just love it. I'm definitely going home a couple pounds heavier, but that's not what this is about. But being that I'm in Israel and you're in Israel and you have an Israeli startup, how do you think Israel is going to adopt to this? And what do you how do you see it here?
Yeah. So every major company that is working on a metaverse has an R&D center in Israel. So it's we're right there. So a lot of the things that are happening, with Israeli entrepreneurs, whether they're in those, the big four, or they're, they have their own initiatives. So it's happening. I think it will only accelerate. I think that Israel will have a major impact based off, what we know how to do very well. So if you look at a metaverse, it's a mix of gaming, which we're very strong at, ad tech, maybe some commerce, AR technologies. So these are spaces where Israeli technology is known at.
Mm.
I see Israel participating and leading this market forward. Hopefully that it will stick. I think there's a lot of people are counting on making the transition. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So it's there's the apocalyptic approach to this. It's going to be
Right,
like a Ready Player One. If you haven't
right.
seen it, amazing movie. So you can go there. It can be a fluke and nothing happens. So and obviously anywhere in between. but definitely Israel is going to have a major impact on the metaverse or any metaverse that pops up.
I think it's going to happen. It's just not going to be what people are thinking it is, and it's going to definitely evolve like everything else. We saw the technology of self-driving cars coming, and we have limitations, and because of the road and the infrastructure. As far as the metaverse is concerned, what kind of technological limitations, hardware limitations, or other limitations do you see that you think have to advance before the metaverse could really be what people are imagining it to be?
Wow, you can read any thought article on what Zuck presented, and what they presented, both hardware wise and software wise, is years away from us.
Right.
It's not going to happen anytime soon, right? So they're obviously investing a lot in it. They see it as the company's future. They're taking everyone that is dealing somehow in those spaces, they're taking them with them right forward. But there's a lot more that the world needs to figure out, both on the hardware side and on the software side, before this can become like the vision that was presented by Meta can become a reality. That's why my guess is that it's gonna end up anywhere in between. It's not gonna be this a world where you just immerse yourself all day long at the Oasis, based on Ready Player One. But it can be something similar. If you look at trends, how younger audiences are playing games these days and how they socialize, it's very close to what Meta is portraying. So when those younger audiences become spenders and they have some free capital, why wouldn't they use it inside those environments that they're already in? Right. So when we were kids, we were just go outside and back in the evening, and that's it. Nobody asked questions, and you did what you did. Today, you're inside those environments, and you're spending more and more time. So again, very hard to predict, but you have some really smart people at Meta and Microsoft and Nvidia, all built omniverses or metaverses or whatever they want to call it. They're not playing around.
Yeah, they're not just making a bet; they're rigging the system. They're putting a lot into it. It's exactly. You see with the kids. I mean, I hear my son playing in his room, and I called him and I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm playing with my friends." I open the door. There's nobody in there. It's just him. But he's got his headset on and he's got his thing on, and he's in that world. He's in that world. So it's fascinating. What else can you tell me? You're the expert. Educate me. I'm here to learn, like everyone who's tuning in.
So, to be honest, for us, every day is day one. We have been doing this for the past 6 years, and I feel like I come to the office, I feel like this is my first day. Our customers are challenging us and breaking any rule that we've known before, asking us to do some crazy stuff. And it's very interesting. We're at a place where I think there's so much to learn, and I don't want to be at a place where I want to educate. It's literally we're making this journey with our customers. We're leveraging the data points from the past 6 years, so we're ahead of the market. Right. But still, it's exciting to see the new possibilities that are being opened. It's exciting, right? So if you're in the 3D space, yeah.
I think that's a very interesting way to look at it. You're not an educator, you're a learner. I like to think of myself as a learner also. There's so much to learn here. When it comes to business and your business has a focus, it has an intention, you're setting out to accomplish your goals and to create revenue and to grow your business. And then some of these new things that come, like what's happening with the metaverse, could be a sidetrack. How do you manage both of those things and not take your eye off what you started to build, and at the same time bring in these new things? I know for a startup, you have a lot going on, and sometimes you have limited resources. How do you look at that?
Yeah, so for us, it's quite easier because if you look at how you build a startup, so you need a product market fit. So when literally a couple of days after Zucks did the announcement and changed Facebook names to Meta, I saw all the chattering in the office. So I wrote an open letter to the team, explaining, why and how we survived the previous waves, and explain to the team that they need to remain laser focused on what creates value for our customers now. If you look too far away into the future, you'll just miss. It's not a startup game; it's a big company's game. So we remain focused and commitment to return our customers' investments. It works. Our revenue retention rate is almost 200% now. So it means that our customers are extremely happy. But it's a tough job because you have all of these distractions, right? And now we're a big team. We're almost 100 hexagons around the globe, and making sure that everybody's aligned and making sure that we keep on creating the value for our customers is becoming, let's say, it's growing in percentage in terms of how much I need to invest. So how to remain relevant, how to survive and excel these waves. Just focus on value, and make sure that you don't only have a product market fit, you also have a VC market fit, but it doesn't distract you from creating real value, right? So us as entrepreneurs, we're optimistic. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done this. And sometimes we think that things will happen and they don't. So just make sure that you're not using vanity metrics to build your business, and you're actually looking at something that's valuable for someone.
Tachlis, as we like to say.
Yeah, look at the tachlis.
Right. Not only are your customers happy. I know Sarona is an investor, an early investor in Hexa, and we're happy to see you grow. It's amazing to see an idea turn into a reality and turn into hundreds of employees on different continents, and it's fantastic. And thank you so much for your time today. I hope we covered it all. Do you have any parting words? Is there anything you want to leave us with? Did we leave out anything?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. My
could cover everything. The topic is too long.
Yeah.
For our time frame and for where we are, hopefully we touched on it enough.
Yeah. So my email signature says everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So if you live by that, then you'll be ready for everything a startup can throw at you.
Sometimes we get punched in the face daily. It's fantastic. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Israeli mentality.
So
thanks, Maurice.
Thank you so much. And we should definitely continue this conversation. Maybe we'll have a part 2, because as time rolls on, there is so much. We're all learning so much. Everything's changing so fast. So I would love to do that and have a part 2 to this, and just catch up and see, really where it went and how things are changing.
Sure. Let's do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Maurice. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.